Did you ever play Killing Floor?
I did play Killing Floor. I enjoyed it. I think it's better with others. It's not something that I personally played a lot of solo time in, but I think it's a really fun game.
Well, let me tell you, this is Killing Floor in VR. It's Killing Floor Incursion, and it is absolutely incredible. Hi, guys. This is Moriarty.
And this is Brax.
This game is Killing Floor. It has a single-player version, but it also has the traditional Killing Floor-style wave system in it. It is incredibly cool. It's one of the neatest games I've played. I'm not a big fan of horror games. I like Killing Floor. This game is cool. I'm not a big fan of wave-based shooters. This game's incredible. I loved it. So that should tell you where we're kind of standing with this title already.
Right, and that's what I was thinking as well. I don't enjoy horde-based shooters in VR or non-VR, but if I'm going to have a VR game be a horde-based shooter, I want it from the masters of that type of game. And I think Killing Floor, the developers of that, are some of the best at making that type of game. And it looks like they've taken this to VR in a way that actually works. And it's not just one of those boring horde-based shooters that we have to look at all of the time, because it's done by a team that knows exactly what they're doing when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Horde-based shooters are something that Tripwire, the developers of this game, excel at. Killing Floor is one of the coolest horde-based shooters you're ever going to play. It's an incredibly fun game. This is that in VR. I ended up playing this for literal hours of my time. I didn't expect to do that. I had expected to jump in and go, oh, it's a poorly done, branded, wave-based shooter. Here I am standing one spot again, and the zombies are coming. We've seen this for the past 2 years, and I didn't get that. This is super, super cool. And it's co-op, which makes it even better.
Absolutely. That's what I said earlier about Killing Floor being one of my favorite games, because you get to play with others. I was going to ask you that. So being able to play with someone else who has it, definitely a plus for me, because that's a huge part of this franchise and having fun with it. I am curious about the movement, because like you said, this isn't one of those where you stand stationary and just have things run at you. I see you moving around here. What kind of options do you have? Is this strictly teleportation? Can you change it to just where you can steady run around with one button? I mean, how much of customization is it, or is it pretty much just a teleport and shoot?
This is a teleporting game. It's seated, standing, or room scale. It doesn't really matter. You're going to have a button. You push that button, and depending on how long it's been since the last time you teleported, you're going to have a certain distance that you can go. So if you stand in one spot for a good period of time, you'll be able to teleport the maximum distance, whereas if you're clicking it rapidly, you're going to go short little hops. I'm okay with that because, again, it is a wave-based shooter, so you end up not really running around in circles a whole lot. And you're going to be surrounded by bad guys quite a lot of the time, so I'm all right with just teleporting myself into a corner somewhere and putting my back up against the wall and then just shooting people in the head. This game also has melee attacks, and it's got all sorts of cool stuff going on with the melees. I had so much fun that I just sat and threw knives in the tutorial for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes straight, just throwing them over and over again.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of throwing things in VR as well. That's why I like some of the sports games and stuff, but that is for a different discussion. When you said that you were sort of a fan of backing yourself into a corner and letting them come at you, one thing that has bothered me so far in many VR games is when I feel the need to walk backwards and I can't. Does that become a problem in this game ever?
I don't know about that because you can't walk backwards, so...
I know, yeah, like I've never played a VR game in which you can walk backwards. What I'm asking is it a problem in this game? Because there have been times before in VR games where I'm like, man, this would be a great time for me to be able to walk backwards. And I think a horde coming at me might be one of those times.
I don't think so much because you do have your melees. Typically, if there's a bad guy that close to you, it's because you've run out of ammo, you've dropped your gun, and you pulled out your knives, and now you're slashing through the bad guys, in which case you're not really trying to back up. I never found myself in any moment during this title where I didn't feel completely immersed in moving forward through the hordes. That is the feeling that you got when you originally played Doom. the 2016 redo was moving forward and constantly moving forward. This makes you want to constantly move forward. Granted, there are moments of slowdown where you're just kind of hanging out, waiting for the hordes to come to you, but generally speaking, I never felt like I needed to back up or run away from anything.
That is awesome to hear. I'm really glad to hear that.
The thing that excites me about this title more than anything is that everything is co-op. And that means that you can have a friend who jumps into the game with you, and you can go through the entire story mode with them. You can go through and do an endless game mode of zombie things. You can do that stuff, and that's super cool. And that's where I think the real value of this title is the fact that you're going to play it with a co-op player, where you're going to play it with a friend. And I personally look at this and say, I want to play this with my friends. Yes, it's fun in a single-player mode, and it is still Killing Floor. It's a little bit more of an atmospheric Killing Floor because, again, they built a story mode through it, so you move through various levels from a farmhouse up to an industrial plant. But the multiplayer co-op, that's what's going to be really exciting, because that's what I always enjoyed with Killing Floor. I can still remember me and 3 of my friends jumping into a game in Killing Floor and playing it for absolute hours. This is that. This is the first game I can honestly say in VR that I would play it for hours.
That's both shocking and encouraging. I'll have to admit, unfortunately, there aren't many games in VR, for one, that make me want to come back and play hours and hours, but certainly nothing that I played yet that is co-op or multiplayer to the extent that a non-VR title is for me, that makes me want to come back and just play it with my friends over and over and over. So I'm really surprised to hear that.
Well, you're going to get a chance to try it out because it is coming to PSVR sometime in the next couple of months. So you'll be able to pick this up and you'll be able to play it on the PSVR, co-op, probably cross-platform with Vive and Oculus players as well.
That would be absolutely splendid. If it's cross-platform, it is a must-buy, and if it's not, it's probably still a must-buy, because as a fan of the other games, even if I buy it for the single-player experience, PSVR library is so small right now that this would still be a great addition for me personally. I am curious, though, does this include like upgrading, spending money, selling weapons, buying weapons, anything like that? Like at the end of a mission, maybe you buy a better gun, or what is the market or the upgrading system like?
So as opposed to the Killing Floor system where you have a store that you have to run to at the end of every mission, you have to go and you have to find your trader, and then you have to spend your money at your dosh and get everything upgraded. Instead, what happens is after you get a certain number of kills, you unlock a new weapon. And your kills give you a certain amount of points depending on how rapidly you kill them, whether they're all headshots and various things like that. So the more you kill and the better you kill, the more quickly you unlock things.
I suspected it would probably be something like that. I don't mind that, though, because I know in VR a lot of small things like that are sometimes not included. And for me, I don't really even like having to deal with menus in VR games. Like, if I can avoid having to use a menu, I will always take that option. So if they're limiting that, that's not a problem for me. I was just curious about, how similar it is to the non-VR with that.
It's a little bit different than the non-VR, as said, but it's still very cool, and it's a lot of pickups. You're going to find a lot of pickups in this game. When you do a particularly awesome kill, you can unlock a superpower that gives you vampire mode that re-heals you, or you can get a melee attack power, you can do quad damage and things like that. This, honestly, as sad as it feels to say it, this feels like what Doom VR should have been.
That is sad to say, and I know it probably hurts you to say it because you were very disappointed in that. But at least maybe players that had been looking forward to that will have some sort of, not replacement, but something to console them a bit and give them the experience that maybe they wanted. It certainly looks faster than Doom VFR did, and considering that Doom is a really fast game that wasn't fast, that might be a great thing for them to be doing here in Killing Floor, because I know there are many people out there that are a fan of shooters, and if you're going to have a horde-based shooter, it needs to be fast. And the teleportation here looks good enough. Like you said, they have a different way of doing it where if you're still, you can go farther, or maybe you want to go fast, but you go short distances, so you kind of hop around. All of that looks more doomy to me than Doom itself did, which is a really encouraging sign for me again to want to get this game when it comes out on PSVR.
I so wholeheartedly recommend this. I think it's the best title that's a shooter that I've played maybe yet. It's incredible, and I feel like I'm saying that a lot recently, which just goes to say how incredibly fast the VR world is moving now, where we're saying every other week, this is the best game I've played in a long time. Well, now all of a sudden, this is the best game I've played in a long time. Here's the problem that I think a lot of people are going to have with this game. This is a $40 title.
Wow. That is unexpected. I was thinking it was going to be 20 or 30, to be completely honest. But I have a feeling that you still feel like it's worth $40, though.
I absolutely think it's worth $40. I also feel like this is the type of title that if you can find it on sale, it becomes a must-buy. And it does go on sale. During the recent winter sale, it was 50% off, which makes it a $20 title, which makes it a must-buy to me.
100%. For $20, I am all over this game.
There's so many cool things in this title that happen, such as the slow-mo mode, which is just super neat, and you feel so cool. Everything about this just felt good. I so wholeheartedly recommend it. I think that this is what Doom should have been. It is fast, and it is responsive, it's fun, you always feel like you want to move forward. It feels like the AAA experience that you wanted, and it comes from a indie developer. So yet again, we're in a position where indie developers are doing more than the AAA developers have. The $40 price tag is the part that's going to keep people back. But I so wholeheartedly recommend it even at that price. This is a game that you can play for hours. You can play it with friends, you can get into co-op, you can do the whole story mission and get through that in a few hours, and then you can go do the endless modes. It's just super, super cool.
And that's still a way that I prefer to think about things. If you're hesitant about paying $40, think of it as a price-time ratio. Maybe you pay $40, but you get more than 40 hours out of it, which is certainly a possibility. Then I think you've gotten your money's worth that way. It's certainly more so than if I were to pay $10 for a bad VR title and I play it one time and never even think about it ever again. So for me, the $40 doesn't really scare me away. I'm willing to pay that because not only is this particular game worth $40, the more that people are willing to pay that and the more that people go out and buy games for that price tag, the more that AAA developers are going to take VR more seriously, and maybe we won't get the letdowns like we get with Doom VFR or other games like that are being outperformed by smaller teams, which to me is really unfortunate, but also really cool, because I like to root for the little guy sometimes. Overall, this game looks like a must-have to me, and I'm really excited about it.
One of the nice things I feel for anybody who decides to pick this up and says, wow, I'm spending $40 for an indie game, is the fact that Tripwire has been a developer that has consistently updated their titles for years. This isn't somebody new. This isn't somebody who's been out there for a week. This is somebody who's been producing titles for a really long time. They've consistently done a really good job. Killing Floor is one of the most complete titles that you'll ever find. It's just super, super good. You can go pick that up today. It's a $20 game. So you're getting that, but now you're getting it in VR, and I feel like that is worthwhile.
I could not agree more. Also with the slow motion, it kind of has a little super hot feel to it, right? Which is another wonderful VR game that people might be attracted to. So when you take this, the speed of it, like the Doom that we wanted, and it seems to have pretty neat movement. It seems to stay true to the Killing Floor vibe and the horde-based shooter stuff that it's so famous for. You get upgrades, and then you say that the slow motion works really well, which reminds me of Superhot. It's like a conglomeration of all these awesome experiences, and the more that I look at it, the more it just seems like I do not feel hesitant about recommending it for $40, and I don't think I can understate how much that means, because I can be a bit of a stickler, and I try to be as honest as I can when I tell people what a game is and isn't worth. So if Moriarty is recommending this game as strongly as he is, and I'm telling you $40 is fair, I think that stands to show that this might be one of the best VR games of all time.
And I feel like that's a really fair thing as well. So there you go, guys. That is Killing Floor Incursion. I recommend it wholeheartedly. Brax recommends it, and I'm sure he's going to pick it up as soon as it comes to PSVR, and then we'll be able to play together, and he will be able to see how incredibly cool it is. If you like it, like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it. But if you did like it, why don't you watch another video up there in the corner? And as always,
We'll see you guys on the next one.